What's going on, melon farmers? DMac back with a way too early Be a Pro review for NHL 22 with the trial period ending and the, X Factor edition being released today and whatnot. I figured it would be a perfectly good time to do a way too early review of Be a Pro. My first impressions, my thoughts of how the game mode is looking, shaping up so far this season in the background. I am going to have like an expansion draft kind of thing, just kind of running in the background. I'll have other clips on top of it showing the things that happened in the Be a Pro thus far. I did choose to go with Seattle. And it was kind of funny that a couple of the interviews were like, you broke the rookie goals record for this, like, for the franchise. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm the first and only rookie that has ever existed for this team. So I thought it was kind of funny. But first thing, when I clicked on new Be a Pro save or whatever, or to start Be a Pro, the first thing that struck me was that opening cinematic with James Cybulski talking on the phone was literally identical to NHL 21. And I was like, oh no, this is not a good first impression. Like, it's going to be exactly the same as last year. But then as you go through the character creation and whatnot, I noticed the faces and everything did look pretty decent. Like they did look relatively good. There was a lot more detail in the faces, a lot more in-depth kind of things like that. So after I created my player, it still was not amazing that you can't play a year in the minors. You can either start at the European Champions League finals or whatever it is, tournament, or you can start at the Memorial Cup, or you can start in the National Hockey League. So that was kind of a disappointment that you still can't play a year in the minors. But once you get into the National Hockey League and you start playing a couple of games and you get onto the NHL roster, I did see some familiar conversations. But on top of that, I did see that there were different storylines that you could do. And the rewards for those were like unlocking X Factors and stuff like that. And some of them were actually pretty interesting, right? Like the one, it's like, the first one was for the Spinorama X Factor, and it was get 2 goals, 2 assists, and 5 hits. So that's a nice easy one, and that one it's not going to take you a ton of time to beat that one. And then you've got your first X Factor, and I was like, I didn't know what I was going to think about X Factors, especially like in the game and stuff, playing against other people, like playing against superstars that are loaded full of X Factors, right? And all I really did notice was that it kind of just set them apart from everyone else, which is realistic, right? They are kind of in a league of their own. Like, you got your Connor McDavids. On defense, you got your Alex Petrangelos, your Victor Hedmans, stuff like that, right? And it's like, it did kind of set them apart from everybody else. And that was actually kind of nice. Now, I personally put I put it on all-star difficulty because my guy was only 68 overall, and I changed the attribute effects to 10 out of 10, which I think was a mistake for right at the beginning of my player's career, because my player had 74 puck control, and on 10 out of 10 attribute effects, 74 puck control, you are allergic to the puck. You have no puck control. You can't hold on to that thing to save your life. So that was kind of interesting, having to deal with that for a little bit. But once you tweak the gameplay sliders a little bit and you find something you're comfortable with, the gameplay was really good. In my opinion, the gameplay was fantastic. This is the best NHL gameplay has felt, I think, probably ever for me. Like, it was very smooth. Everything ran really, really well. And I did enjoy that, like, television broadcast kind of aspect to it, like with the what are they called? Overlays or animations or whatever the hell they were on the ice when you go into the penalty box, the statistics that show up on the ice before the face-off and everything, I thought actually looked really fantastic. Now, I have pretty limited experience with Be a Pro, having just gone through the 10-hour trial, and I did spend a fair amount of that 10-hour trial in the creation zone and creating my own personal franchise and stuff, I recorded a whole crap load of episodes of the Be a Pro. I recorded like 5 or 6 episodes of the Be a Pro or something like that. And then I'm doing this review. I wanted to get a couple of days past when the full game releases. And then whatever I had left on my trial, I was going to be able to use for my own personal saves and stuff like that. So that's basically what I just did. Now, in my limited experience with Be a Pro, though, I found it actually quite a bit more fun than last year's Be a Pro. Last year's Be a Pro was really cool because it was kind of different. It was kind of new with the conversation systems and everything. And then it very, very quickly became stale. This one, you have like long-term objectives like the stay on this team for 6 years. You have conversations like on Twitter with fans. You know, it's one of those, it just adds that little bit more depth where you have like a fan saying, you know, DMac, my new favorite player, I hope he stays here forever. So it's like you can get rewards if you stay on that team for a long time, and the rewards are pretty good. And it's like, oh, that's okay. So now I actually I have a reason to stay on this team. There is an incentive here. The longer I stay here, the more rewards I'm going to get, right? And the fact that they took the likability meter from 1,000 to 10,000, yeah, that's kind of cool. I just wanted to make a short video as the 3rd episode of the DMac show. It's not that, there's no set time for how long the show is going to be or whatever, but I just kind of wanted to talk about Be a Pro. The little tiny bit that I've done in the creation zone's a little more fun because yes, you can set X factors for your players and whatnot. And I'm hoping they fixed prospect attribute growth because that was absolutely criminally bad last year. And yes, they did acknowledge that it was broken and basically said like, sorry, we'll fix it next year. So I'm really hoping with my fingers crossed here that that's fixed because that did make franchise mode a little tough to get through, like where just no one's speed was going up. If you had a playmaker, his shot would not grow at all. Like I made a playmaking prospect and I gave him like 81 puck control, 81 passing. He was just a prospect. Like he wasn't NHL, right? He was like 70 overall. 81 puck control, 81 passing kind of thing, and like 77, 78 shooting. So his puck control and his playmaking skills were a little bit better than his sniping skills. And then once he got to the NHL, he was like 80 overall. His puck control, his passing was all at like 97, and his shooting was still at 77. Like it just didn't grow at all. And he had like a 40 goal season in the minors and like 100 points. It was like, oh my God, come on now. And when I made him, I gave him like 79 speed. When he got to the NHL, he had like 80 speed. It's like, what? This guy is like a 5'11", 180-pound playmaker. Like, you're telling me his speed is just never going to go up. Okay, all right. You know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, like I said, I just wanted to make a quick video talking about Be a Pro. My first impressions, man, this whole game, NHL 22 is just such a massive step above what 21 was. Now, 21 was a pretty package that didn't deliver as much as it really could have. Like they did add a couple of things, but more or less they expanded Be a Pro, and that was about, for offline players, that was about as far as they went with it, right? Now in NHL 22, it really feels like gameplay and presentation really took precedent, and the Be a Pro adding X factors, adding those new conversations and storylines and new objectives and stuff like that. It's like, it really does feel like it added that like layer of depth. I did watch G20's video about what happens in free agency, and that is criminal. That is still absolutely unacceptable that they have done zero work on contract negotiations. I think that is a crock of crap that desperately needs to be fixed. And until just little things like that, and then you got like no movement clause, no no wave clause, no movement clause, or modified no trade clause. I said no wave clause, no trade clause, and legitimate contract negotiations, and dramatically overhaul that morale system and everything. Until that happens, I do think that the EA NHL games might just be that like one little step below what they could be or what they should be or what the fans deserve. You know, long time hockey fans will tell you up and down EA is a joke of a company and blah, 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 blah. There's no competition. And that's, you know, that's why these games are trash every year. So far, NHL 22 looks like a fantastic game. Now, it's too early to say for sure whether it's great or whether it's bad. I just wanted to make a video talking about my first impressions of Be a Pro because that's the mode I've spent the most time on. So far in franchise mode, I think it's relatively the same. It's pretty fun. Franchise mode has very quickly become my favorite game mode in the NHL video game series. When I'm not making videos, I'm basically playing my franchise mode, and I do play all the games. I have like gameplay sliders and stuff, videos that I post all the time talking about stuff like that. I have shown I've made shorts of like cool little plays that have happened in my franchise modes and stuff. So I'll probably continue to do stuff like that as the year goes on. But yeah, the mode that I've spent the most time on is definitely Be a Pro. And so far it's been a lot of fun. Like, I don't think I'll make one outside of YouTube. I'll have my Be a Pro, probably a main Be a Pro and maybe an off Be a Pro for my YouTube channel. But that's probably as far as I'll go with it. But it has been a lot of fun. I still think it's a relatively one-dimensional game mode, but it's taking steps in the right direction. There are still too many things that are lacking, like contracts and clauses and like, you know, stuff like that, right? Things like that are lacking a little bit, but otherwise it's a lot more fun than last year's. Last year's was supposed to be this huge leap forward, and it was for about a 2-day period. And then it very quickly was just bland and stale, and the cutscenes, all they did was waste time. You know, this time, a lot of the cutscenes, it doesn't seem like they're wasting time quite as much because there are long-term rewards for a lot of these conversations, right? There are things that you do in these conversations and choices that you have to make that are going to dramatically shape the way your career goes. And that's fun. That's a lot more fun than last year's, where it's just like, hey, let's go to the museum. Anyway, yep, that's going to be my rant over for today. I figure I'd take a short break from my putting up daily Be a Pro vids to do a quick, way too early review of Be a Pro thus far. Anyway, that is going to do it for me for this one. I'm so happy that so many people are subbing to the channel right now. It has been kind of unbelievable, the growth on this channel. We're well above 1,000. At this point, we just keep growing, and I'm super ecstatic about that. I wanted to say a massive thank you to everybody who's been here forever, all the new people for just showing up. Fan-flippin-tastic, man. Anyway, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. There's new videos coming all the freaking time, and until next time, you beautiful melon farmers, have a good one.